Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Today is meant to be the Healer's Circle day. At the moment, it is 20 degrees outside, so I wouldn't be surprised if all of you are out in your garden and doing something very, very healing by enjoying the sun, um, because none of you are here. So, which I'm absolutely a-okay with. So I'm just going to kind of see where we go today and what's going to happen. Sometimes we have people joining 5 or 10 minutes later in, and yeah, just kind of see how we go, really. So um, just to kind of track into what's been going on. Oh, there we go. We've got one. Hi, Caroline.
Hi,
Hi
sorry I was
there.
late.
You're fine. You're the only person that's arrived.
Oh
I mean,
well,
it's like 20 degrees outside, so I'm not surprised.
no. Well, I've had a manic day and I've just come back from the hairdressers because that was mission critical. So,
Nice one. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
priorities. Good, nice one. Okay.
thanks. Yeah. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good.
Yeah,
Well, I wasn't so good earlier this week, but it was just the energy that kind of dialed up on Wednesday was really insane. I don't know if you kind of felt that as well. By 7 o'clock, some peak shitstorm kicked in, and then all through Thursday, the fields crashed. Um, so I was just literally just about to start talking about that, really. So
okay.
basically, on Monday, we did a self care Monday session, which went into the reconstruction of the Akusha matrix, which is the parallel matrix father arc that sits adjacent to our matrix system, or it sits within our universal quadrant as the parallel part of it that kind of connects into it. And as we were kind of going through that, I think you were there as well on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. It was Self Care Monday.
Honest,
I can't
yes, I
remember.
was.
You
Honestly,
were.
it's been a week.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a
I
week,
honestly have
absolutely.
felt like, yeah, I'm kind of glad you said what you said actually because I thought I was losing the plot. So,
No, you're definitely not losing the plot, but the parallel matrix has absolutely been up in arms, and
right.
that's with the reconstruction of the artificial intelligence systems that are leaping through there. Hi, Silver. Are you okay, love? You having your dinner? Okay, no worries. Bon appetit. Oh, you're on mute, love. Don't
Yeah, I feel it's kind of rude, but I was
worry about it. We have
down.
needs. I get it.
Or should I leave my camera on then? You're not recording, are you? Oh, you
I
are
have started
recording.
recording.
I'm going to put my thing off. I'm listening.
Okay, lovey. Yeah,
Oh.
no worries. Yeah, enjoy. So, yeah, basically, where we went through that reconstruction of the Akusha matrix, it triggered up a whole load of artificial systems that are in the process of breaking down. And then when we came into Wednesday, bam, it hit me like a ton of bricks. So all of that was kind of rushing out, and the behaviors that are tied into the artificial networks, which are that of kind of a victimizer mindset, they're that of kind of not aligned to light. So we're looking at negative ego behaviors, being kind of selfish, being a bit of a dick here and there. And that had then come up for reshuffling, for a resurfacing to make a choice. Um, and that choice for me was I'm going to go into humility. That choice point for humility, for kind of just acknowledgement and responsibility was really big because it unlooped from all of these different things on a personal level, which then brought me into a massive kickback of fallen consciousness. So my own kind of, well, my consciousness that had been playing out roles within the artificial timelines had then been unlooped from that, which then brought the pain of that history through my field on Friday, Wednesday night, Thursday. And then today, I actually feel like I can breathe again somewhat. I still feel like I've got a bit of kickback within that, but yeah. So there's that. And then 3 or 4 of my clients as well also having the same issue. Um, So yeah, if you care to elaborate on your stuff, it might be enlightening.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is relevant, but I've found that in the last, I don't know, it's probably the last 2 days, I've been having like really kind of like thoughts about people that have wronged me and feeling a bit kind of aggy and almost old thought patterns. Yeah, of
Victimized, right?
yeah, even like down to something really stupid like a mum at school.
Yeah,
And then kind of
absolutely.
catching myself and going, no, that's not me. I don't do that. And like
Yeah.
having to kind of consciously drop it.
Yeah.
Just
So yeah,
old thought
amazing.
patterns.
So that's perfect, a perfect example of what had happened for me. It dragged up the same thing. And I went through those thoughts of, oh, that person's an evil bitch, and then, oh, I've been victimized, and this toing and froing between that, and you're like, actually, this is just an opportunity for change. So what you're tapping into is absolutely bang on.
Right.
Looped into the Akusha fallen, the artificial systems within the Akusha as that's breaking down, in order for us to kind of free ourselves and be able to make choices that are more aligned to our light. And this basically pulls us all up into the forefront so we can then, go soul forward rather than ego personality forward, which is brilliant.
Cool. Oh, that's interesting to know because I caught myself a few times and just went, what's going on? That's not really me.
Yeah,
anymore.
that's not me anymore. And that's it, because you're recognizing that it's not you anymore. You're able to bring it up to the surface and look at it and be like, goodbye. And then it phases out, it gradually kind of phases out. And it took me a fair bit of going through because the kickback was so strong. I felt physically ill, to the point I had to cancel one of my clients on Thursday, so I could sleep. I like literally went to bed for like 3 hours Thursday afternoon just to kind of process some of the energy. And it was just a case of kind of like looking through it, recognizing, okay, well, this is what it's linked into. And at the start of it, did not even draw the parallel. I didn't even draw the conclusion that it went there. But then by Thursday, I was like, wow, this is really intense. And all of it felt very engineered, very electric, would be the emotional side of it was like electrical and forceful. So that felt like it was kind of being pushed onto me into a state of control. And I was able to kind of take a step back and be like, not today, not any day actually, because I can see what you're doing. But as that system, that parallel matrix system has kind of gone through a reconstruction, all of these structures have popped out of place. This has then freed up all of this space with the Aurora re-encryption to that, which has then realigned the whole system, right? The Aurora is the Christic families that are kind of supporting our ascension pathway at the moment. And that is elevating the consciousness. It is helping us kind of reclaim our sovereignty, reclaim our masculinity. And it also overruns all of the artificial networks. So, yeah, along with the Cosmic Holy Father as well, which is another part to play within all of that. It's really big. So, yeah.
I know from working with clients that the kind of latent anxiety is getting higher and higher, and I think because of like world stage events, and you can see things, it's almost like a balloon that's going to burst. I've really noticed actually that the energy that's coming off people, it's people are scared, I think.
Oh yeah, they are scared, but the ones that are trying to cling on to the control are even more scared, because they're having to kind of face their comeuppance. They're having to kind of be told no. They're not allowed to kind of run the show anymore. And that's why there is so much kickback. And that's why they're dialing up all these wars, because they want to maintain a level of control, and it's just not happening.
Right.
I
think in my work, because I have to work within a certain boundary.
Yeah.
And find myself saying kind of things like, well, maybe it's not a bad thing. to kind of go down that route, but it's difficult. And
yeah, absolutely. When you're dealing with clients, of course, it's going to be hard because, or clients or even colleagues, because everybody's got their own set of belief systems. And then if you go into that, you're then potentially triggering the polarity fields within them, and that can give you a kickback. So where do we stand within polarity? Well, we can take the moral high ground, look at it from an above angle. We've got two opposite forces going against each other, but they're still a part of the whole. They still reside within the one. And when we can look at it from that perspective, we can say, okay, well, this is a cause and effect reaction to what they're doing over there, and that's a cause and effect reaction to what they're doing over here. If they were to talk about it and communicate, then they'd find some common ground. But because there's so much pride and so much ego going on within there, they don't necessarily want to understand it. And this goes part and parcel with everything in our third dimensional reality. We are having to learn how to communicate with each other from a place of clear understanding and understanding where each other are coming from, so we don't cast a judgment. And if we do, with the polarity field that are kind of really fluctuating at the moment, we're then kind of opening ourselves up to kickback, I suppose, if we do go into it. So it's just learning how to navigate it to keep the timelines peaceful, so you can then step into the next higher timeline and not be triggered by the emotional stuff that's going on around you. Yeah. It's one of those. Yeah. The negative really want us to kind of go into the reaction-based thing, because that energizes their timeline structures, their artificial timeline structures. Now, if we looked at that parallel matrix, the farther right matrix, with all of the AI systems kind of running, well, the one AI system running from there, which would be like the Wiesen system, also the Borga system, like kind of runs through there, and then it filters through into our one through a kind of like a black hole network, and also shielded by Eye of Sauron consciousness or codes. When that's kind of triggered, we're then having to kind of really pull ourselves back from any kind of reaction, so we don't kind of get looped back into the same process, which, for what we've just gone through the past couple of days, we've had a big detaching of that, right? But then if we go back into the same reaction that we did, vocalize it and express it, that's what's going to lock us back into it, and that's what we don't want, really.
Okay.
Yeah. So
ignore the pull to rescue then, by the sound of things.
Well, yeah, because they're all trying to learn their own way of getting through things. They're going to have their own belief systems, and unless there is like a vibrational pull to have that conversation, or they bring it up, usually if they bring it up, you're on safe ground, because there's an element of you're able to reach into their consciousness and pull on the strings for what they're ready to learn. But if they're not ready, I can tell you now, you're going to get a pie in your face, and that's not fun for anybody.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I've learned that one well too many times.
When you say a pie in your face, I take it you don't mean
not a literal pie, but
no, chisels kind of, no, not that.
A word pie of a word pie of nastiness. And you're a conspiracy theorist, or you're a nutcase, or these kinds of things, because you're challenging their belief system. So there's a process of them coming more and more into resonance for them to be able to access that truth within them, and they're able to then kind of expand on it. And usually it's interesting when we kind of have these kind of talks and comments, there'll be a kind of natural expansion into it that either kind of sometimes urges the person to kind of take a look into it. If they haven't quite got their belief systems there, it may give them a little bit of kickback, but not too much. So sometimes it is encouraged, but you'll be able to read the room with it. Anything about Trump, I can tell you now that's probably going to trigger a lot of people. Um, anything with vaccines is probably going to trigger a lot of people. But the right ones, maybe they'll bring up the information that's like, oh, I was hearing this today, blah, 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 and it's made me think about X, Y, and Z. And if that X, Y, and Z is okay, maybe a lot of people have got sick. Maybe a lot of people have got kind of mind controlled by agendas. You know, it's just about being able to spot that and then learn how to support it as we're kind of going through. And the important thing with it is knowing when to pull your energy back after giving it, pulling your energy back, closing down, and just rejuvenating yourself, because those conversations can be so intense and so full on. So yeah.
Weirdly, I had a conversation with my brother, which I wasn't expecting, on Sunday, and he said, do you ever wonder if this is it? Because he's Catholic in theory, and he's just like, if this is it, he says, you know, and I'm 55 and, you know, going to carry on working, and just said it's just basically, it was just, I guess it was an existential kind of moment, and I, because I think it was basically saying, do you believe in something else? And I had to really think about it, about whether he would be receptive to it or not. So I just kept it like a couple of sentences, and I said, it's something for you to have a look at. And I said, because I can't really explain it as such, but I said I could point you to some stuff. And then I didn't, and I thought, no, it wasn't safe as such. But he sent me a link, if you bear with me.
Do you want to share it on the chat?
I can't actually, because I'm a glass from my head. You know, you're getting old. Well, you're looking for your phone and you're on it.
It's 20 degrees. It's Friday. I've finished work. I'm leaving my glasses on my head and looking for them on my desk. We've all been there, Caroline. It's fine. It's not because you're 55. Oh, you're 50, sorry. My bad,
careful. Steady. Okay, so May 1921, American polymath Walter Russell entered a 39-day coma-like state, during which he claimed to have accessed all knowledge. Have you heard of him?
I think I have. I've heard somebody talk about him before.
It's really interesting because he's got, I will send you the link afterwards, but you know that kind of map of the all different dimensions, it's got him doing all those, but he got effectively silenced because the world wasn't ready for it.
Wow.
Yeah, they all dismissed him as mad, except for one, Nikola Tesla.
Wow.
Yeah, he upon awakening, he frantically wrote down what he'd seen. Anyway, yeah, I'll send you the link so you can read it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's all about that everything around us, from rocks to human bodies, was composed of light patterns shaped by consciousness. That the universe was fundamentally mental, not material, and that all things moved in rhythmic cycles, expansions and contraction. And he dismissed opposites like good and evil as illusions.
Yeah.
And that instead everything sought harmony and balance. So it's interesting.
Absolutely. So the further up the dimensional scales we go, the more in harmony we become, because we are returning back from a fragment, multiple fragments through the dimensional layers, back up into one whole completion point. So it's fascinating.
It is, isn't it? I think it's, you can only imagine how that would have been received in those times, you know. He's a mathematician, and
well, it's interesting because which one was it, Jung, who discovered the collective unconscious in his hypnotherapy, but they said that he didn't go any further with that because he got scared, but he absolutely did. And he was also a Mason, wasn't he? He was
also used a lot of drugs.
That became very occult.
That's not a judgment, it's more about, I think he used it to try and access, you know, that higher.
Absolutely. And I think what kind of went on with that is that they buried it. They didn't want people understanding it because at the time, if the Great Awakening happened back then, could you even imagine how the consciousness would have been catapulted forwards into planetary end times much, much quicker, and we would have been going through an ascending body a lot quicker, apart from the fact that the weight of everything would have had to clear, but it would have been a start point for it. And then we've got Dolores Cannon, who did it with the hypnotherapy with her husband, I think was it the 1980s or something? I think it was when she wrote one of when did Dolores Cannon do her thing? She was born in 1931. But she wrote her books, I think, from the 80s, because she's got her first book out from 1992.
Okay.
Yeah, so her career, yeah, started in the 1960s and then went on to 1970s hypnotherapy to treat clients after past life regression sessions. So back in the 1970s. So it then got 50 years later, or however many years, 40 years later from 1930, that's when it all kind of blew up again. It's really interesting. Some of her books are,
You
yeah.
said Dolores
Dolores Cannon.
Cannon.
I'll send you the details. She's a hypnotherapist. She started at the quantum healing hypnosis technique.
Is she still alive? I appreciate
No,
she'll be very elderly. She's gone, is she now?
She passed quite recently. I think it was like 2018. But she was all the way through there, through the harmonic convergence in 1987. She was, doing all kinds of wondrous things and then doing talks and things all across the world.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I might have listened to an audiobook of hers, but I have to check which one it was. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, very, very interesting. I mean, I struggled to read them, but I did listen to the audiobook, so that helped me kind of understand things. And I think if we're looking at kind of reaching out to those, more and more people are going to be reaching out and thinking, is there something more? I can already see like an upturn with your clients doing that. Yeah.
I work kind of, ones that I kind of know better, I work a bit more spiritually, or I let them know that I can work more empathically, if that's the right word. But I haven't really gone there with the quantum stuff as such.
Yeah. But it's
Probably
even just
I'm still learning, so I'm such a baby myself with it though.
Yeah, but even if it's just the communication of it, like there is something more, you may get this. What I mean, I think, is you'll be getting more clients that will come in with what perceived as existential crisis, but in fact it is a spiritual awakening masquerading as an existential crisis that's phasing in as really sharp anxiety and depression, which loops back as soul integration. So the soul, when you first kind of step into the soul integration, we are phasing in, we're waking up to the deep depression that's kind of around the soul. As the soul wants to move in, it raises up the awareness to all of these things, to kind of one end of the polarity to the other end of the polarity, really high vibe coming in, pushing up the low vibe stuff that is painful to be seen and nurtured. Yeah. And a lot of the times we kind of neglect the low, we neglect the pain of it, and see it as something, as not being worthy or not being kind of spiritual because it's low. But in actual fact, it is some of the most powerful parts of yourselves that sit within pain, that just want to be loved and accepted in order to kind of come back into you. And that's when we can start treating us as a whole structure rather than layers of fragments or compartmentalized consciousness. Yeah. I love that we've got a guest at our table.
I know.
Hi.
Do your bottom.
Doing like a striptease there.
Hello. Hello. Right. She can really see the screen quite clearly.
Oh, really?
There's, I don't know, it must be about a year ago. She my husband was watching something on TV and she was just into, I think it had a fox in it or
Mm.
a little mouse or something. And he ended up putting on the TV for a few weeks at night when he wasn't in the room. He put these awful, absolutely awful they were quite sweet, really. Stories that had little animals in them. And she just sat there, absolutely riveted. Amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, hello.
Oh, bless.
That was good.
Oh.
Yes.
Lovely.
Yes. Okay, I'm here. Ah,
So how's everything in Silver's world? What's going on?
I've also had a very weird week, very
Hmm.
weird energies. I can't really come and just lie down. You're not.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I had similar to Caroline was talking about things coming up, just coming up in my mind, memories, people,
Uh-huh.
things from, and with it, yeah, a lot of mentality, some judgment, some, but yeah, and the same, it's like, what's going on? And if you follow it for a minute and then you catch yourself and think, yeah, this isn't, why is
It's
this
crazy.
happening? What's going on? Bit of a strange, there's been a bit of a heaviness around this week.
Mm.
I can't really explain. And I also bashed my foot on Tuesday,
Oh.
my toe, and which was a bit terrifying because on 2020 I broke a toe on my left foot, and that took ages to heal. And then in 2022 I dropped a laptop on my feet, and again I think I must have had fractures, and
Mm.
that took 3 4 months, and immediately that got better. I dislocated my toe. I clipped my toe. I was so unbalanced, and my toe was sticking out the side of my foot like this.
Oh God.
I clipped it into place and thought, oh, that's all right. No, it wasn't. You get ligament damage. And that was another 3 or 4 months.
Mm.
But, always the left foot. And so when I clunked my right foot, I just thought, oh no, I can't bear the idea. Another summer where I
Mm.
can't walk, I can't do anything. I can't, but it's healing.
Oh,
So
that's good.
it's just bruising. So
Mm.
that's meant the last couple of days I've spent a lot. I haven't really done much because I've been resting.
Mm.
It's given me time to just soak it all in really and just say, okay, no, time to sit and not and my mind and try and clear my mind rather than
Mm-hmm.
in a bit hectic in
Mm-hmm.
my head.
Mm-hmm.
This has helped in a way because I've had to just say, I can't do that. So
Mm.
it all aside. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
lots of judgments, that strange kind of week that I can't really describe. So it was great hearing you, Felix, talking about what's happening because I can't really
Yeah.
find it at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's
I,
just okay, this is how it is. It's okay. Um,
mm-hmm.
I'll day to day,
Yeah.
just yeah, don't worry about it.
And that's it, really, isn't it? That's all you can do at the moment. As long as you know in yourself where you're at. Because the thing with these things when they pop up, sometimes it gets me, and I'm just thinking, why am I thinking this sort of stuff? Why is this kind of coming up? And sometimes I'll fall into it until I realize actually it's just purging itself out of my energy field that and
Mm.
that comes through in some kind of way, self or expression. And if we can kind of just recognize it as that, knowing who you are in the present, I'm a lot more together than what this is. So why am I having it, basically? Why is it coming up? And then being able to move through it that way is kind of the saving grace, really. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm. Mm. One of those, really, isn't it? all we can do is just keep on going and checking in and aligning oneself back to God. I think it's always the grounding, the connection, protection, ground, and just assess the situation really.
Mm.
I'm gonna write that down. Sounded quite cool.
Love that.
Connection, protection, ground, and check in.
Feels like a it might just me, but I feel it's like a restlessness, the energy.
Yeah.
Mm.
The only way I can kind of define it after that kind of experience Wednesday, Thursday is that with the artificial currents that are coming through it, it basically does try and agitate, it amplifies an agitation, and that works on the basis by somebody blowing up at another person, or if it was me coming through and then I blew up at someone, that would be their goal. So if we can kind of pull ourselves back and recognize the agitation and be like, oh, okay, I see it, and then be like, I love you, I accept you, and you don't have to be this way anymore. You're not in that space anymore. So because what they do is they pull on memories that are kind of triggered through your past to try and engage and enrage. But there's also an organic process to it. So on one side, the engage and enrage coming through the artificial, the organic cellular memory awakening that's happening alongside this, because with the inorganic, there needs to be an organic aspect to it as well. We've got the natural cellular memory awakening, which just drives the information up to the surface. And if we can recognize it as just that, the weight that's stored in that cellular memory is the emotional charge that's blocking us from moving lighter and lighter. And in order to get it up, we just allow it to move up and out. Got goosebumps. Cellular memory awakening. What a lovely name. Dun, dun, dun. Do you have any questions on that?
I'm curious, how does it come to you? Do you know how it comes to you, or does it just come to you?
What, the channeling, the information? A lot of it just comes through knowing. A lot of it will be a knowing and a feeling, really. So my driving force for awareness has always been an unconditional knowing. It's a claircognizant kind of ability. And then within that, as the sentience has opened, that's then awakened the clairvoyance somewhat. But my real driving force, I'm really tight with my clairaudience. So clairaudience stuff, I can hear things really deeply and in like well. And it's just about how much you kind of surrender and allow to kind of move through, how much you become the observer of the movement of thought through your head, because it's those thoughts that carry the information as the message. And when it might come as like an echoed word like 3 times, and then if you kind of interface into that word, say, oh, okay, I'm going to go into that. This then starts to open up the field, and the charge of information that's surrounding it will then present as a hologram. So there are degrees that you can kind of go into it with. You can go into it with just with the feeling, you ask the question, receive the download, and that will come in as a thought form, which then presents as a vision and also as a feeling. Or if you haven't really got your feeling or your clairvoyance more open, a lot of women have their clairvoyance wide open, like from the get-go. It's the feeling body that they can sort of struggle with because there's so much going on. It's just needing to kind of discern what's what. For me, I shut my feeling body down. I absolutely locked it shut, didn't want to know. And it's taken me ages to really start to gate it to come open. And that when you're dealing with the feeling body, you're training yourself to... Are you coming here? You're training the feeling body to attune to the frequency. So say if I wanted to tune into silver, then I would set that intention. And then as soon as I'm kind of looking at you, all of the information starts to download into my awareness anyway. Start feeling little bits of achiness over the back. I start feeling like expression, what's going on in the heart, things like that. And I don't necessarily mean to do it all the time. It just sort of happens upon me connecting with you or whoever I'm connecting with. And that's where the information just automatically just starts to download in. The way that it opens, it may start off opening up as a, okay, I wonder how this is feeling for you. And then it opens that kind of questions and answers dialogue. I'm just feeling this at the moment. Can you relate to this? Or, you know, and then you just want to kind of expand on it. And it's just really about trusting it. And I used to get absolutely petrified if I got something wrong, because my understanding of what was right and what was wrong from a schooling perspective, it was like, okay, if you don't get it right, you're not going to pass the test.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's not that. It's more like, if you haven't got it right, you need to go back and reassess the situation until you start getting it right. Isn't that right, little kitty? Yeah, so you are basically just kind of understanding how your consciousness is expressing through emotion, through feeling, and through the instinctual urges, or through the urges that you feel in your body to kind of ask questions for. That's when the Holy Spirit kind of works through, the guidance.
So I guess I probably would have called it, I suppose, my intuition, that when I'm working with clients, I'll get perhaps a knowing, which I'll sometimes kind of, ask about and test and say, is it, I'm feeling this, I'm just wondering, but sometimes I'll get a ask about the sister thing.
Oh yeah. Well, that will be the guidance and saying to you, come on, you've got to say hello, Sirius.
Oh, it's like a Q-top, isn't it?
Been very...
I can't go and get mine. It's a golden retriever. She's huge.
I think you should try. No, yeah, you've just got go with the urges and go with the intuition. So if you do get asked about the sister, ask about the little sister, because there's reason why that's kind of coming up. Sometimes when they don't want to open up about it as well, it will be because they're nervous and they don't want to face the emotion behind it. So yeah, I'm curious to see what he would do with the cat. Maybe not much.
Yeah,
mental.
I'm not looking anymore, she says.
She says, oh, there's a dog there. I'm not going to play this game. Yeah. So it's something that you can kind of expand on. I think I've actually put down one of the sessions for this month as a grid work session. So what we'll do with that is we'll just start tuning into the landmass and start picking up on what it is you're receiving. Working with the planet is such a great way to train your intuition, because the frequency is so much stronger and so much more like tangible. You can tune into something and get loads and loads and loads of information. And that's just by connecting into it, because you've got such a vast body to work with. If you're dealing with a client, it's a lot more subtle. Until you train yourselves and train your abilities, I would say working with the planet is a fantastic tool. And that's even just by being receptive to her healing as well. Yeah, you just open yourself up to like wonderful things, different parts of her planet. We're only going to go into like maybe kind of crystal caves and things like that, things where it's the frequency is quite high and quite safe. We don't want to go into doing any kind of deep restructuring work just yet. That's something that we'll build upon down the line, and just kind of develop our skills that way. So we want to make it a comfortable experience, and where it's
I was going to say, it's really interesting what that I'm sorry, I don't want to take the session over, but I that brings up like straight the feeling is mortification. I think I've even gone red already. And
multiplication.
Mortification.
Oh, mortification. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
And it's a bit like when I'm working with clients, it's only me and them in the room. So I can just be completely with them. but it's a bit like, you know, I spoke to you some while ago about starting to hear light language, and you said you spoke to me, and I just went, and it was this massive humiliation. And it's something that does happen to me quite a lot, and I think it must be something to do with past trauma rather than actually in this life, if you know what I mean, because it's so extreme. But it's really interesting how, but it's that kind of like, right, what do you hear, what do you feel? Just, it's like
so that is perfect example of when we attune ourselves to the feeling. Because you're being so criticized growing up in whatever way it was, whether it's been at school or at home and things like that, because we've taken on so much criticism when we try something new and outside of the box. And we're also questioning our whole belief system as well as to how we operate, because we've been thinking and speaking and using 5 senses, but nothing else for a lot of our lifetime. Now we're using like 12 senses, and we're remoting our consciousness into a field. It's to explore the earth from an astral perspective. It's like, wow, what the hell's going on here? There's so much here that I just don't even know that I can do. So it's a big questioning for your ability, but the only way to go through that is to try. And there is no right and there is no wrong. It's just everybody else is probably going to be in the same boat as well. It's just a case of, if we want to do it in a safe environment, number one, we want to make it a secure experience, and comfortable experience, so one that you can thrive off instead of fall back on yourself with. And it's just about opening oneself out to align that for you. When we can challenge that perspective, all of those belief systems, you're going to be flying, quite literally, but in a Merkaba body. And you know, a lot of the time is we think that we're kind of going somewhere, but in fact we're actually bringing that somewhere to us to see. And that's when the clairvoyant visions become so much more stronger. It presents in your own natural environment, as if your Merkaba spins so quickly that the universe is almost as if it's drawn to you, like you're there, but they are here, or it is here with you in your room.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And that's about getting the conscious mind shut down. So when we go into that, I'm going to try and do this stage, the mentality of it becomes so restricted because it's in a height state of flight and anxiety, and we need to be in the other way. For that, we need to be in deep relaxation and kind of trust with it. Yeah. So that in and of itself says to me that there's thick miasma in between your layers that is presenting as rigidity.
Yeah, there's definitely work to do on that. So yeah, probably our next session.
Yeah, I mean, it took me ages to get mine moving and up and running, and a lot of it, standing up for myself was one part of me kind of claiming back that power. Another part of it was dissolving the artificial timelines and the artificial information out of my field, so I could actually move into something more of an organic light patterning. And that then generated a state of relaxation because I was able to trust what was going on around me. Yeah. It's all interesting exploration. And that, like I said, the only way you can kind of go about it is just to explore. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, no worries. Do you have anything else that we want to raise up tonight? Or do you want to go enjoy the sun? Right, let's go enjoy the sun.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. I hope it's been helpful, guys. Really enjoyed this session.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Loads of love.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.